Alright, we got quite the chapter this week. It dropped super early, so I was able to do a live reading stream this week, but if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. And if you want to see some of my old VODs, they're up on my ParVision VOD channel. You can find the link in the description below. That being said, I will be talking about One Piece chapter 1047 in this video. If you aren't caught up, get caught up. And if you're new to my channel, the way I view the world is by making connections. So let me connect you to my vision, the ParVision. So starting with the color spread, if you've been on any of my streams lately, you already know that I feel like Yamato isn't gonna join the Straw Hat crew. And I'll make a video on it if you guys aren't convinced otherwise, but in this color spread, Momo is on vacation with the Straw Hats, and there's no Kinemon in sight. So part of my Yamato staying on Wano theory was that it's for Momo's sake, but if Momo goes with the Straw Hats, then maybe Yamato goes with him? But there's a world where she stays and holds it down while Momo is gone. But anyways, this color spread kind of makes it feel like Momo will continue on with the Straw Hat adventures. Which now takes us into the chapter itself titled The Skies Above the Capital, which brings us a really important question I think a lot of us are thinking about is, does the people in the capital and the festival, do they see Onigashima? Is Onigashima close? What's gonna happen? There's so many moving parts within the castle that now we have to see what Oda is going to do with the second largest moving part in Wano, which is the island. The largest moving part being Zunisha. And you know what's actually funny? By the end of the chapter, all of that actually changes. Onigashima becomes the third largest moving part, I think, but we'll get there in a little bit. So we open up the chapter with Momo trying to move the island, but saying he can't, and that transitioning us to pre-time skip Momo saying the exact same thing. First of all, Toki saying Momo can revive the Kozuki clan, that's a lot of responsibility for an 8-year-old. But considering what Oden did as a kid, she's not wrong to expect the same out of Momo, if you know what I mean. You know, now that I think about it, given Oden's backstory, it wouldn't be crazy to think that Oden had more kids, just across Wano. But yeah, then we get to the next page where honestly the whole situation is complicated. Like Toki and Kinemon are putting a lot of responsibility on an 8-year-old, but also given that Oden died, Momo is the heir to those responsibilities. But Momo's response saying, "I'm not a man, I'm just a kid." Like, yeah, I get it. Momo isn't that guy, but not everyone is born into the heroes they become. Not even Luffy. Like, if you think about chapter 1, Luffy started a fight he couldn't handle, an adult him would never take, and his childlike actions cost his greatest hero their arm. And even this decision here, where Momo understands his duties and leaves his mom for his uncertain fate as a time-traveling Avenger who just lost his father and now his mother. This is massive for any 8-year-old to even decide on. I think we all have to admit, Oda is putting all of these kids through the ringer when it comes to trauma, and now the chapter returns to current time, and though Momo is in an adult body, his mind is that of his 8-year-old self, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's only been about 4 to 5 months in the One Piece world time since Oden's death for Momo, since right after Oden was killed, Momo was sent 20 years into the future, and then not too long after he met the Straw Hats on Punk Hazard. But given all that, he definitely has grown a lot since then. But yeah, so the chapter cuts back into the fight between Luffy and Kaido, and we finally get to see what happens after 1046. Kaido seemingly just casually accepts that Luffy ridiculously can grab lightning now. Luffy pulls out probably his first projectile attack that doesn't require him to use his body, and it's called Gomu Gomu no Thunderbolt. So basically Luffy is now Pikachu. The perfection of this lightning bolt is hilarious too, and we see Kaido dodge, and the lightning bolt continues and then hits the ground and then explodes. So that does kind of show us that at least if Luffy lets go of it, it's not rubber lightning. We still kind of don't know how Luffy is grabbing it in the first place, and if the lightning is rubbery when he holds it. But then we get another interesting display. Kaido bats Luffy away with a Conqueror's slap, and Luffy flies out and grabs another lightning, then basically swings around it like a Cirque du Soleil acrobat or Olympic gymnast. This is so weird because it looks like the lightning pauses when Luffy touches it. And so the next panels, there's two different focuses. Let's look at the dialogue first. Kaido says, "In the end, a strong devil fruit power isn't enough to conquer these seas. Look at Roger. He had no fruit power and still brought the world to heel. Such hurdles can only be overcome with Haki." Okay, so these lines are honestly things I didn't expect to get from Oda. It's really funny because I think by now it was kind of understood that Roger didn't have a fruit. But because of the recent stuff with Nika, it was like, did Roger also have Nika? Maybe. But then Oda comes out with like, nah, Roger didn't have a fruit, which takes me back to the very beginning of my channel. The whole reason I started my channel talking about the new levels to Haki that may be possible was because of this very notion that Roger, the Pirate King, had no devil fruit, but steamrolled everyone. Garp also. And that's where the statement I had before that I think peak Haki can do anything and devil fruits are just hacks for specific Haki control. Though I want to put a little asterisk in this in that all of this is said before the appearance of a god fruit. Not that I think that Luffy's fruit changes the perspective, but rather Kaido says this, but no one is aware of what Luffy is right now. And the connection, I think, is that Luffy's Gear 5 awakening is the only thing we've seen where just by awakening, he gains Conqueror Lightning leaking from his form strong enough to pierce Onigashima. So it does seem like Gear 5 isn't just a strong Devil Fruit power. It's also a power that ties into Haki somehow. Also, I want to point out that this statement from Kaido isn't all that revolutionary, in the sense it does make sense considering Big Mom and Kaido and even Whitebeard, they were all extremely strong and influential and terrifying, and each of them had some of the most broken Devil Fruit powers in existence, but to truly conquer the seas and bring the world to heel, as Kaido says, you need powerful Haki to overcome it all, which then should tell us a lot more about Shanks' position in the world, as he is the only one without a devil fruit, and yet he competes with these monsters. That should kind of tell us that he is the closest man to the Pirate King throne, but he probably chooses to not want it, but something he is doing or is driven by, some dream, allows him to have probably the strongest Haki that we'll probably see, besides Luffy, I mean. It'll be exciting to find out though. And I wonder if Dragon is in the same boat. But yeah, now let's run through these panels looking at the powers. So Kaido lands a Conqueror blow onto Luffy's face, and then Luffy hits the ground, and the ground acts like a trampoline and rebounds him. So this is important to me because it doesn't seem like Luffy controls this ability, it's just a passive one. Like Doflamingo and Katakuri actively control their surroundings to turn it into their respective substance, but Luffy has to touch something to then rubberize it. And I think that might be a huge clue into what Luffy's power actually is, especially since it's not reserved to just objects but people also. I think I may have an explanation for how a sun god could possibly have a rubbery body and how it may connect, but I'll talk about that more in my future video. So Luffy bounces back to Kaido, and Kaido lines him up for the Death Destroyer Thunder Bagua, which seems to be just like the ultimate Haki infused Thunder Bagua, and apparently the translations were referencing Yamantaka, a wisdom king from Buddhism that he is known for besting the god of death, Enma. So it's an interesting naming scheme here. But I want to see all of this animated because like seeing all these Thunder Baguas just get me super hyped up to finally see it in the anime. Continuing though, this is probably the first time in Gear 5 where it looks like Luffy took serious damage. Though I'll put a pin in that understanding for now, Luffy has teeth knocked out, he has a giant welt on his head, and birds circling around his head like a true Tom and Jerry cartoon. While in this state, Luffy grabs Kaido's chest like it's a t-shirt and uses his Drum Island grip to hold on to him as he goes above the clouds. Given that Luffy is holding on to Kaido the way he is, that tells Kaido exactly where he is, and then Kaido unleashes this broken dragon twister move that sends projectile slashes at Luffy, which slices him up. But now we see another panel of Luffy, and Luffy has his teeth back now that he is above the clouds. That's an interesting note, and I wonder if that was intentional, alluding to some kind of way Luffy can recover. And then we get to a really sad page back in the Flower Capital, where everyone is celebrating and cheering and sending off their wishes through the sky lanterns, and the text over it says, "The festival is going to end soon, and when the sun rises, we'll be slaves again. I really hope I manage to survive for the next year." That's just super sad. The sun will rise and there'll be a new tomorrow. None of them can see Luffy and I wish they could. Then we have Toko saying she hopes her wishes reaches her dad, Yasue, which is again super sad. So before we get back to the Luffy fight, in the next pages we see the samurai showing their resolve, and it was just a solid reminder of the stakes of the war. If Kaido lived, they would have survived as slaves. If Kaido died or lost, the island would plummet and they would all lose their lives. But at least their loved ones who they were fighting to free, who could not fight themselves, would be able to live a much better future in peace. And a quick highlight, Kid does make an interesting face when the samurai are shown cheering for Luffy. And another interesting note would be that we don't see Law, and Law has the ability to save a lot of people with his power. To be honest, so does Kid. Between Kid and Frankie, they should be able to whip up some kind of escape boats that can fly, obviously, or float down. And another highlight would be Orochi's return. Not too sure what's going to happen here. Hiyori needs to just pull out a sword and take care of this. I'm so over Orochi. I just want to see if this fruit goes to someone cool. But that being said, there is a world where Denjiro comes back and reverse Uno's Orochi from what happened in the Flower Capital. We haven't seen Denjiro, and maybe this is where he comes back. And okay, now we're back to Luffy. So first, the Boro Breath Blast, it looks like instead of damaging Luffy, it just kind of chars him now. I'm pointing this out because even before Gear 5, Luffy was seemingly immune to the Boro Breath. Luffy is also immune to lightning, and there might be a connection as to why, but Kaido wants Luffy to come back down, and oh man, does he do that in the last panel. Remember that joke I was saying that Onigashima is the second largest moving part in Wano right now? Yeah, well, I think Luffy might be that now. Luffy pulls out the biggest Giganto pistol we've ever seen, and from this panel, it looks like it's at least the same size as Onigashima. Luffy tells Momo to get his shit together and to move Onigashima so that Luffy can punch Kaido, but like, I don't know if that's possible, but it's Luffy, so there's no stopping him, so we gotta get Momo to move this island, right? So this fist is Gear 5, Gear 3 to the max, coated in armament with Conquerors imbued and regular lightning surrounding it. Plus Luffy is grabbing Kaido, so it's probably not going to miss either. This is like a callback to when Luffy first punched Kaido, but also, if you guys remember my Strong World video, I was saying Strong World was Oda's test run of the One Piece time skip, and it is. Do you guys remember the way Strong World ended with Luffy's L Thor axe kick versus Shiki? That's literally, this looks exactly the same as that. Now, I don't think this is the last punch, but also this punch is quite literally on a different level from any punch any of us would have thought. Like, if you told me Luffy beat Kaido with a punch, I would have laughed and been like, nah. But I also wouldn't have imagined the fist to be the size of Onigashima. So then the chapter ends and we have another break week. Oda's definitely is ending this chapter on a huge note, like literally. This break week will give me time to get more of my videos out, just like last break week was. Also, I had a lot of awesome collaborations and I'm looking forward to continuing that. It's always a great time seeing you guys in my stream, and I got more fun ones planned. Like tomorrow, April 23rd, chapter 1000 is finally going to be animated, so I will definitely be streaming a watch party essentially to see the magic go down. Make sure you check out all the links in the description to see ways to support me and connect with me, and thank you all for supporting me so much already. And so, like always, thank you for connecting with me, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you all on the next ParVision.